everybody? Lord Tremendous here. Got another battle report here for you. Battle report number 76. This is a 5,000 point game. More of my games will be that now that I'm not prepping for Adepticon, and those games are all finally done and posted. I've finally got into my backlog of games, which I'm very excited about because I've got like 6 I got to get up. And I've only got a couple of weeks to do it before I start playing again because I'm kind of out of town. So anyway, with all that non-needed information out there, 'tis I, Lord Tremendous of the Ogre Cons, versus Big Daddy of the Infernal Dwarves of all armies. Yeah, he has decided that he's going to play Infernal Dwarves, got a whole bunch of old models to represent him. And this is one of his first games with him. He played a couple other games that I didn't, not against me, against other people. And he's still getting his feel, he's still getting his dwarf legs, I guess, for this army. So this army, you're going to be like, oh, why did he do this? Why did he do that? Because he's brand new to the army and he's still learning. So sit back, relax, and get ready to see how one of my first games ever against Infernal Dwarves goes. Here's my list, and I've only added 500 points to my 4,500 point army because I really liked it. But I'm trying the Great Con again, Blackshade. He's my general, he's got a great weapon, Bluffer's Helm, Talisman of Greater Shielding, and the Divine Icon. And I did that because of Shyhammer, that bastard. The Bluffer's Helm he showed me in our games is amazing. And at Toughness 5, it's really hard to keep those wounds on it with the Bluffer's Helm, having to re-roll them. So I'm trying to Bluffer's Helm, and I'm doing a great weapon because I want to encourage my opponents to attack Blackshade as opposed to the Tribesman because he can soak up the wounds better than they can. He's harder to wound, he's got a better save, he's got the Greater Shielding, Talisman. And Divine Icon is so that when he does hit you, those wounds stick. It's a theory. You'll see how it works. Next up, I have my Khan. He's my BSB. He's got Heart Ripper, Yeti Furs, and Troll Eater. I didn't mess with this guy because honestly, I think his kit is perfect. I still have my Shaman Skaz. He's still got 3 learned spells. He's got the Talisman of Shielding. Instead of Dragon Fire Gem, I decided to give him a 6-up ward save against everything, and I gave him Pyromancy. Again, this is Shyhammer's fault, and a couple of my other opponents' fault. A lot of Pyromancy at the GT, but I just saw the damage potential of Pyromancy and how much my army could benefit from that as opposed to Thaumaturgy, and it's a little bit more forgiving than Thaumaturgy when you miscast, so I'm trying it out. See how that goes. And you know, of course, I still have my Mammoth Hunter, Lord Tremendous. He's got his Ogre Crossbow, the Obsidian Sword, the Armor Fortune, Headhunter, and his trusty Tusker the War Teddy. Just like with my BSB, I'm not messing with his kit because I honestly believe it's perfect. My core choices, my Tribesmen haven't changed at all. I've still got a unit of 7 Tribesmen, the good old boys with Banner Musician, Iron Fist, and the Banner of Discipline. I've got my second unit of Tribesmen, the Conquerors. They've got Banner Musician and Iron Fist as well. My Scraplings got reinforced. I now have 23 Scraplings, the randos, with a musician. I taught one of them to play a flute, the jazz flute, if you're wondering, and they still have bows. And I did that because I needed to up my core choice a little bit because it's 500 points now. I gave musicians so that they could swift reform, and I gave them more because they did really, really well during the tournament. And they deserved it. I don't know if I'm going to keep them like this, obviously, but I like having the bigger unit. My special choices are mainly the same. I still have my Saber-Tooth Tiger, Bow Wowzer. I still have a unit of 5 Scrapling Trappers, the Favored Pets. And my Tusker Cavalry unit did change a little bit. I added a guy to it, so I now have 4 Tusker Cav. They've still just got a standard, great weapons, and I gave them the Flaming Standard instead of the War Banner because I like the Flaming Standard. I saw how good Flaming is, and I wanted to try it. I know it's a little bit more expensive than the War Banner, but I wanted to give it a shot, see if it helps me. In the Powder Keg category, my Bombardiers got a little bonus too. They now have a musician. I have a unit of 3 Bombardiers. They're no longer butt naked. Now one guy also plays the jazz flute. So, you know, same thing. Wanted them to be able to swift reform. And then in my Chain Beast category, I still have both of them. I have my Rock-a-Rock Warhammer. And the rider with Lance, that is his passenger, I guess, is Shyhammer. No change there at all because my Enforcer doesn't need to be improved. I am toying with making Shyhammer and Warhammer characters, a hunter on a Rock-a-Rock. I haven't decided if I'm going to do that yet or not. We'll see. We'll see. And then, of course, I still have my absolute favorite, my frost mammoth, Rufus. Couple of guys got an ogre crossbow that he totes around with him, but yes, I'm not getting rid of Rufus. Sorry. Did you see what he did to the temple guard? Come on now. Oh, love that guy. Anyway, that's my list. As you saw, there wasn't too many changes, some very small ones. I'm not keeping this list as it is. I do play a few games with it just to give it its fair shake, but I do have some new ideas I want to try out, some new directions I want to go, and that'll happen in the future. I haven't played any games with the new list. Anyway, that's going to do it for mine. I don't have my opponent's list, which sucks. I forgot to get it. Yeah, we played this game, and afterwards we sat and we talked about it and changed it up, and, you know, you should do this, try this, blah, 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 and we screwed up. I forgot to get his list, and so I have no idea what he took at all. Maybe some veteran Infernal Dwarf players will be able to figure it out, but for the most part, I don't have a clue, and I apologize for that. I'm rusty, I guess. Here, my spells, which are Cascading Fire, Scorching Salvo, and Immolation. Again, notice the cards. Got those from Shyhammer, and it's cool to use them. It's also kind of interesting that he knew I would probably go over to Pyromancy after Adepticon. The man's a little bit of a warlock, I'm not going to lie to you. And here are my opponent's spells, and he's got a ton. What is that? 10 different spells to choose from. Dwarves and magic. That's weird. Here's deployment, and you know what? This is his first game, well, against me anyway, with this army. I don't think he'd really played a whole bunch with them, if any. I honestly don't remember. But I did ask him, I said, do you want this to be a training game? Do you want me to go all out? Blah, blah, blah. And he was like, kick my teeth down my throat. How else am I going to learn? So I tried. I got to deploy first, so I threw everything down. I've never really faced them, but I faced dwarves, so I get it. You charge them, they're probably not going to break, and they're going to try to break your spine after they pretty much absorb everything you throw at them. So I tried to stack up, and at the same time, since I just kind of threw everything down, I also tried to put my fast stuff on the flanks and my slow stuff close together so we could support each other. With Rufus being the linchpin, slowing everything down, making everything initiative, you know, me. I've got my 4 Tusker Cav on the left flank on the hill there. I've got the Scrappling, the bigger Scrappling unit behind them. They're going to jump up on that hill after the Tusker Cav go away and just hold it and fire 23 shots at anything they can. I've got the good old boys right next to Rufus with Skaz behind Rufus, using him as a shield. I got Bow Wowzer in the middle because I wasn't sure what side of that impassable rock he was going to, you know, put his stuff in, but I figured Bow Wowzer goes behind it and goes and redirects in whatever direction I need him to go. I got the Conquerors with the BSB on the right side there, and then on the far right flank, I've got the Hammers, Lord Tremendous, the Bombardiers, and top right there, I've got my Trappers. The idea is to sweep around, get in the middle, and surround these bastards. I figure I throw enough dice at them, they're going to fall over. That was my plan for deployment. Here's top of 1 after movement, and I come forward. I don't want to come too far forward. I know he's only movement 3, so I'm not overly concerned about him charging me. I brought, as you can see on the right side there, I just funneled forward the Bombardiers. They were out of position. Excuse me. So I just moved them forward as far as I could so that next turn maybe they could shoot or charge or whatever I'm going to have to do with them. I believe it's just like Orc Slaves and those 2 bricks on the right flank there. So the Rock and Lord Tremendous fire forward. I'm not even going to bother shooting. I'm just going to try to crush them. I bring the Conquerors up because I don't know what that guy is on the little monstrous flying thing over there. But I know what the organ gun is, so I'm going to try to get a hold of the organ gun as fast as I can. I also bring Bow Wowzer over to do the same. Good old boys, Rufus and Skaz move up to middle to start working on that Horde brick, and the Tusker Cav move forward just a little bit. Not that much, because I wasn't really sure what I was looking at, and I saw the big monster, and it made me a little nervous. So I was hoping he would try to charge me. I could countercharge and do 4D, 3 strength, 5 impact hits to him, and if that doesn't kill him, then I'm really screwed. The Trappers, I completely forgot about, so they stood exactly where they were deployed, and that's it for movement. 0 happens during my turn, so we go over here to bottom of 1 after movement, and there's a bunch. Everything comes forward, not the dwarves I'm used to. The big horde brick comes forward, the big monster thing comes forward, the character comes forward, the weird dwarven tank thing comes forward. I mean, the little unit behind him kind of reforms. The 2 rocket batteries stay where they are. The other little unit behind the force on the left flank there comes forward just slightly. The 2 slave units stay right there because they've got shooting. But yeah, I mean, it was a very aggressive move by dwarves, and I was a little taken aback. I'm not gonna lie, but I was gonna play it out because that's what you do with these games. That's it for movement. During the magic phase, he gets Silver Spike off on my unit doing a wound, and I believe he also makes him flammable. Also, I must have gotten Cascading Fire off on the good old boys last turn. I just forgot to take a picture of it. But anyway, that's there. So they're flammable, and they have Cascading Fire. So they're probably burning alive right now. Anyway, we go into shooting, and the big, scary tank-looking thing fires at Rufus and does 2 wounds to him, which I'm not happy about. And then the organ gun thing fires at the Conquerors and does a single wound to them as well. So he's firing a lot of shots, he's just not wounding really well. The slave blocks, though, they fire away at the Conquerors and are able to kill one of my tribesmen flat out. It's a lot of shots, so it's not unexpected, but still pisses me off a little bit. So those guys are not going to survive the game. And then over here, the rocket batteries, I believe both of them fire at the Tusker Cav, doing a single wound to them. I don't think both of them hit. I think only 1 hit, and he just rolled poorly for damage. So, yeah, I'm just taking some cuts and scrapes here and there. I think something else from downtown fires at Rufus. I don't remember if it's a brick or the other rocket battery. I just can't remember. I'm sorry. Something shoots at Rufus, though, and takes another chunk out of his hide. I don't like it. I don't like that Rufus is half dead, but I guess I could also see it as half alive, which actually sounds worse. So, yeah. Not thrilled, but dwarven shooting, you gotta respect it. And I didn't. I really didn't. And with no combat, we go over here to top of 2. I decide to see what these guys can do. The Tusker Cav go into the monster because he kind of gave me the monster. I wasn't sure if that was a mistake or if that was a well-played game, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to find out one way or the other. I've got a charge, I got a banner, I'm charging downhill, I'm up by 3, it's 43 strength 5 impact hits, and if I angle it correctly, I can overrun into that big horde brick, so why not? The good old boys and Rufus go into the horde brick and make it no problem. They've got blunderbusses, I can't remember what they're called, but yeah. On the right flank there, the Rock and Lord Tremendous charge into the further, or to the right slave block and make it. They actually passed their terror check, which really shocked me. My BSB and tribesman, I believe, tried to charge his organ gun and failed the charge, which sucks in many different ways. The bombardiers move another 12 inches. I remember the trappers and move them closer to where the game is. The scraplings stay right where they're at because they have range to stuff and on the hill, and with volley, they don't have to worry about intervening terrain. And my Bow Wowser moves up so that his steam tank thing can't slam into Rufus if he survives this. Skaz angles himself in such a way that he can mess with the general, and that's it for movement. There's a better picture of Tusker Cav slamming in that monster. The good old boys and Rufus slamming into the blunderbuss horde brick. I think there's some characters in there too. I don't remember exactly. There's a better picture of the Rock and Lord Tremendous making it into the slave unit. And the Conquerors failing their charge into the organ gun, which was awesome and upsetting. During the magic phase, I get immolation off right there. The idea is if this unit breaks, they have to flee through it. If his general charges, he's got to go through it. The idea really was just to put a big pop mark there and make it so that if anybody touches anything over there, they're going to take some burns. Also, if I did break this unit and they ran through it, I would be able to do a significant amount of damage to them. And I like doing significant damage. Nothing really happens in shooting, so we go into combat, and the monster was a little tougher than I thought it was. The impact hits did not kill it. As you can see, I lost a Tusker Cav for my troubles. In the end, though, I was able to kill the monster. Almost lost 2 Tusker Cav. I was able to slay the monster and overrun into the blunderbuss unit. I don't remember what they're called. So that's going to be huge. It's a lot of impact hits. It's a lot of attacks. It's a lot. Not to mention a flank, another charge, another banner. I'm pretty sure I've got this unit. And I do the combat next. Yeah, so we go over to that combat, and holy crap. They had hatred. They had great weapons, maybe? I don't remember, to be perfectly honest with you. But it was quite brutal. I don't mind telling you. They had a lot of armor, they had a higher weapon skill, they had hatred, and when they counterattacked, as you can see, Blackshade died. He got into a challenge with his BSB, or a character that just ate his lunch. 1, 2, 3, 4 tribesmen died, and yeah, Rufus took another wound. It was a brutal combat. In return, I was able to kill all but like 12 of the bastards, and I think there's a character or two in there. He's stubborn or steadfast or something like that. He loses combat, but he's, like I said, he's stubborn or steadfast, something like, not steadfast, but he's something where he gets his full leadership. And he makes his check. I do a little bit of reforming, and that's what it looks like after combat. That unit took almost 2,000 points worth of units in a charge, and not only did it stick, it did some significant damage and killed my general. I way underestimated that unit. In combat over here, the Rock, and Lord Tremendous are able to just eviscerate this unit. I think I either kill everything or there's like one guy left and that's it. It's a total slaughter. I take no damage in return. The other unit of slaves fails their panic check after a unit broke within 6. They flee off the way there. My Rock, and Lord Tremendous fire forward. Lord Tremendous, I think, failed his pursuit check. Maybe not. Maybe I made them both go forward to try to run him down. I can't remember. I know the Rock went. I think Lord Tremendous failed his restraint check and had to go after him. So there was definitely something left. Rock didn't give me that opportunity. He just went. He ended up off the table. Lord Tremendous ended up right where you see him. And the slaves are more or less out of the game. So all in all, combat really went my way, with the exception of the Horde Brick. But, well, we'll see. With combat over, we go over here to bottom of 2 after movement, and I don't know. I mean, there's a little bit, but he was a little cautious with his army. He wasn't overly familiar with it. His general tried to charge Skaz, and I was like, oh, wow, yeah, I didn't see that. So Skaz fled and got away. He didn't try to redirect or anything. They just went after Skaz. But luckily, Skaz is an accomplished sprinter. His weird steam tank thing kind of turns to face the Conquerors. Probably wants to charge them. Not a bad choice. The weird brick in the forest, he's got a couple of bricks in the forest, or around the forest in the left there, and they kind of came around like, uh-oh, we should do something about that. But neither of them charged the flank of the Tusker Cav, which I thought was wrong. I don't remember if we talked about that or not during the game, but after the game I know we did. His rocket batteries, more or less, I think one shifted back, and that's really it for movement. There's a better picture of Skaz saying no and running away. He did end up going through the immolation thing, and it did nothing to him, which I guess is about right. I think he's got something that makes it so there's got a 2-up ward save against flaming damage anyway, so it is what it is. During the magic phase, my opponent uses a spell to move his, rocket battery, or not rocket battery, I'm sorry, organ gun away. He moved it in such a way that I couldn't charge it now, and that was really clever. I don't remember what spell it was or what path it was from, but yeah, I let it go, not realizing what he was going to do, and yeah, stupid clever. I like that. Mobility in dwarves, that's really weirding me out. Speaking of the organ gun, we go into the shooting phase, and it unloads on the Conquerors, killing a guy. I think the guy was already carrying a wound, so I think it only did a couple of wounds. It did not do that much damage. He wasn't rolling great for it, but he still killed a tribesman, and that unit hasn't done anything yet. Need to get him into this fight. Then I believe the tank takes a pot shot at the Conquerors as well, or killing another tribesman and putting a wound on one, which sucked. Then over here, I believe one of the rocket batteries fires at Skaz and does a single wound to him, which is actually a pretty good shot. And then one of those bricks of infantry shoot at the scraplings, killing one, which is okay, actually. We go into combat, and it's awesome and disappointing at the same time. He concentrates a lot of his attacks on Rufus and is able to finish him off. He only had like 1 or 2 wounds left, so Rufus dies, which sucks. But in return, I'm able to put enough wounds on him that all but like one model and I think the unit champion and a character is left, which leaves them with bodyguard. But he fails, and I pursue with both. He ends up fleeing from the tribesman unit, and I pursued and got him. The Tusker Cav got him. I did take some damage from dangerous terrain for pursuing into a forest, but I didn't lose anybody, so I didn't have to take a panic check. Unfortunately, I'm right by those 2 units of infantry, but I believe it's my turn next, and the brick is gone. It only cost me Rufus and half my tribes and my general. Seems like he got the better end of that stick. So here's top of 3 after movement, and there is some, and it is glorious. The tribesmen go into one of the infantry bricks because it has to die, and they really got nothing else to do, so I send them in there for fun. The Tusker Cav charged the other brick, and I don't remember what they are, but they fled, and they fled past the rocket battery, so there's really nothing I can do about them. So I redirected into a rocket battery with them and made it, which was awesome. My Rock and Lord Tremendous start moving towards the center of the table there. I got to deal with that damn steam tank, and I think they're the ones that are going to have to do it. Skaz rallies, which both shocked and impressed me. The Bombardiers stay where they're at because they're going to start shooting at the tank, and the Conquerors move because, Bow Wowser charged into the organ gun. And I don't expect him to kill it, I just expect him to stop it from shooting for a turn or two while I get into position better. And the Conquerors with my BSB turn to look at the steam tank because he's kind of blocked himself, so he can't exactly charge me, but I need to be able to go after him after whatever happens with Bow Wowser and the organ gun plays itself out. The trappers are mostly useless, so I just put them on the hill so they can watch the fight, and that's it for movement. There's a better picture of what's left of the good old boy slamming into that unit, the Tusker chasing off the other one, and then slamming into the rocket battery, which is actually a pretty good deal for me. There's a better picture of Bow Wowser gumming up the organ gun, which will buy me a turn, I hope. In the magic phase, I'm able to get immolation off in front of Skaz, and I just do that in case his general wants to charge in front of me, so he takes a strength 4 flaming hit every time he wants to. Really, I just wanted Dispel to go off so I could fire a fireball off at his general, and it actually worked, and he let the spell go off, the fireball hit him, and I got a wound through, if you can believe it. It was a little crazy. In the shooting phase, I think Lord Tremendous or possibly the Bombardiers fired their weapons at the steam tank. You know what? I know everybody fired their weapons at the steam tank that was in range, and I was able to slip 1 wound through past its toughness and armor. Only like 8 to go. And then we go into combat, and combat over here was pretty brutal. I killed 5 of his guys, he killed 2 of mine. I think I did 5 wounds charge, and I have a banner. My banner is in there, I just broke him. So what, 7 to 3, 6, 7, 8 charge? You know, I don't remember exactly what the math was, but I know I win this combat. I know what it was. The cascading fire goes off after I took that picture doing some more wounds, which let me win by 1 or 2. He is steadfast, I think, but he breaks, and I chase him down with 1 good old boy left. I'll take it. Over here, the Tusker Cav are able to destroy the rocket battery, and they overrun. I was hoping to hit the other rocket battery, but I actually went off the table before I could. So they're off the table, and they'll come back out next turn, like right there. And right here, Bow Wowser gets in the fight. Doesn't do any damage to him, takes a wound, but so it's charged to a wound. It's a stalemate, and we stay right there. So Bow Wowser has successfully gummed up the works for that thing for a turn, and that's really all I wanted him to do. Gotta love the Tigers, right? So with all that over, we go over here to bottom of 3 after movement, and he does move, but it's not much. The fleeing unit does rally, the ones that ran from the Tusker Cav. They do rally, and they turn to face with the Tusker Cav are going to come back on the table. His rocket battery just kind of stands there, because what else is it going to do? The steam tank just kind of stands still. He wants to keep firing at stuff with it. He's kind of boxed himself in. I think maybe he charges into Bow Wowser now that I think about it. Other than that, his general charges Skaz again, who stands and takes it this time, because the way I see it, if I give up Skaz, that sucks, but his general will be way out of position for another turn. It is bottom of 3. So why not? And he ends up failing the charge. Other than that, though, I think everything else he has is deader in combat. There's a better picture of his failed charge, which is good for Skaz. It does put him out of position. It all worked out, and I didn't have to give up my wizard. During the magic phase, he gets Scorching Salvo off on Skaz, able to put a couple more wounds on him, which kind of sucks. And then the follow-up Fireball from the Path attribute kills Skaz dead. I rolled 2 ones. He did 2 wounds with Fireball. I rolled 2 ones for his saves. Not that it mattered because I needed 6s to save him. And even if he still had the Dragonfire gem on him, he would have died because I rolled Snake Eyes. It's interesting. It's fitting for Skaz. It really is. But I find it hilarious that the game that I finally take the Dragonfire gem off of him, and put the 6 support save on instead, he really could have used a Dragonfire gem. Not that it would have saved him here, but you know what I'm getting at. Poor Skaz. He's always my whipping boy, isn't he? My opponent is then able to get Immolation up in front of the Conquerors, just to try to deter me from charging into his steam tank or anything like that, which honestly isn't really going to stop me, but at least in the very end, he's going to do some damage. I mean, shoot, it's still area attack 4 flaming hits. Speaking of the tank, it must not have charged into Bow Wowser. It fires away at the Conquerors, killing another tribesman. I got to do something about that tank, otherwise I'm going to end up giving all the Conquerors up for free points, and that's a little frustrating. We get into combat, and Bow Wowser, God bless him, he's not done with this thing. He rips the face off of one of the little dwarven gun crew guys, doing a single wound to the unit. He takes nothing in return. I win this combat by 1, and they stick, but my chaff dog is really kicking some ass. I'm quite proud of him. Very, very impressive. That was the only combat, so here's top of 4 after movement, and really, the only thing that happens is Lord Tremendous and the Rock both try to charge the steam tank and both fail, because life is fair. And that's more or less it. The Tusker Cav come back on the table, and I just kind of move them a little bit to look at the rocket battery. The unit, the infantry unit behind them, can't wheel past them to charge me, so my flank isn't in any danger. I also kind of want him to back his steam tank up. Like I'm thinking that maybe he's going to be nervous about the Rock and Lord Tremendous, so he's going to back him up, and then I can charge the Tusker Cav into him. I know I'll take DTs for going through the forest, but it still might be fun. My one remaining good old boy moves up to threaten the steam tank, and really that's about it. Everything else just kind of gets ready to shoot. The Trappers come off the hill because I want them to throw their rotten apples at whatever they can. And honestly, that's it for movement. There's a better picture of the Rock and Lord Tremendous failing their charge into the big dwarven steam tank thing. That would have been nice to get one of them in there, but it was long distance charges, and I was just... Honestly, I knew I won this game, so if I got in there, great. If not, oh well. Nothing happens in magic or shooting, so we go straight into combat, and lo and behold, nothing happens. We both whiff. I roll like a 1 and a 2. He rolls a handful of dice and fails as well. It's a stalemate, so we sit there for another turn, which is awesome because the longer that thing's in combat, the longer it's not shooting at me. Here's bottom of 4 after movement, and this time his tank does go into Bow Wowser. He's tired of not being able to shoot. So he goes after Bow Wowser with his tank, and we both know, well, we all know how that's going to end. His infantry can't charge, so it really just kind of stands there. It's going to shoot at the Tusker Cav, which isn't his worst choice. The rocket batter stays right where it's at, and his general moves over to threaten the Tusker Cav. That's it for movement. There's a better picture of the tank getting into Bow Wowser, and he is not going to be able to take that. During the magic phase, my opponent gets that spell off again where he moves his something a certain amount of inches, and he was able to move the rocket battery away from the Tusker Cav. And then during the shooting phase, he fires the rocket battery at the one remaining good old boy tribesman and murders him dead, which is an incredibly well-played maneuver, I must admit. Also in the shooting phase, the infantry unit there, they've got some sort of bows. I don't remember exactly what they have, but they throw them at the Tusker Cav, doing a single wound, killing a guy, which sucks. And then in combat, impact hits alone are able to slip the final wound through on Bow Wowser, killing him dead. But he sold his life dearly, really helped me out against that organ gun, and now he has the tank and the one remaining threatening war machine just completely boxed up. So I should be able to capitalize on what he's set up for me. So here we are in top of 5 after movement, and I charge the Rock and Lord Tremendous into the tank, and only Lord Tremendous makes it. The Rock just isn't in the wind sprints today. I charge Khan out of the unit into the organ gun because I didn't think the whole unit could fit in there, and Lord Tremendous still making it in the steam tank, so I just charge character out. The Bombardiers move up, the Conquerors move up, the Trappers stay right where they're at. The Tusker Cav slam into the infantry unit because they need revenge. He's able to stand and shoot, and he gets 2 wounds through on the Tusker Cav, which really sucks. And the Scraplings stay right where they're at because they're going to keep shooting at his general and maybe slip another wound through. That's really it for movement. There's a better picture of Khan and Lord Tremendous making their charges and the Rock failing his charge. But you know what? That's fine. He's just awesome to have on the table. You know? Nothing happens in the magic phase because Skaz is in a better place. But in the shooting phase, the scraplings they unload on his general and a wound slips through. I don't remember how many wounds I did, but one was able to slip through, and that's pretty friggin' cool. We go into combat, and I do the combat first. He's able to destroy the organ gun. And then he overruns into the tank. We do the tank combat, and this thing is made of solid kryptonite, lead, steel, whatever dense metal, tungsten. It's made of tungsten. Anyway, we do a bunch of combat. I don't take any wounds. I'm only able to slip one through. So charge, flank, one wound. It's unbreakable. It stays right where it's at. And it cannot reform. So it stays right there. And, yeah, now I've got two characters that's got to slug it out to try to get me points for this damn thing by the end of the game. These things are amazing. Real quick, I should mention that this is not the steam tank with the steam hammers on it. This is the Pew Pew tank, so that's why it's so terrible in close combat. Just thought I should clarify that while it was fresh in my mind. With that over, here we are in bottom of 5 after movement, and there's really very little. For the most part, in the combat with the Tusker Cav, it was more of a stalemate. Actually, we may have forgotten to do it. I don't remember. I think, though, it was a stalemate or he was steadfast. I didn't do very well, and we're still in there. During the movement phase, his general just comes over to try to buff up his steam tank and do some damage to my rock or my bombardiers. Basically get points wherever he can get them because everything else he has is deader in combat, and that's it for movement. You know what? Maybe my Tusker Cav didn't charge last turn. I don't believe they did. I think they just stood there and they're like, bring it on. Well, he didn't bring it on. Instead, he waited. Nothing happens in the magic phase. So in the shooting phase, the rocket battery and those guys fire away at the Tusker Cav and do one wound to them, which means they're dead next turn. Well, the unit is, probably not the rocket battery. We go into combat, and I'm not able to get any wounds through on him. Instead, I take a wound on my BSB. He's going after the BSB, and that sucks. That sucks. I have a flank and a BSB to his wound. I win. He could care less, and we move on. Here's top of 6 after movement, and the Rock charge his general. I figured I don't want to stick him into that steam tank combat and just get ugly with it, so I tried to go for his general. I tried to go for the big points and failed. It was a long charge. I needed an 11 or 12. I did not make it. I almost did. I think I rolled like a 9. But yeah, I end up right there. The bombardiers move up to try to fire at his general, maybe slip the last wound through. The scraplings move up so they can fire at him as well. Just trying to get the last couple of wounds through, just trying to get as many points as I can. The Tusker Cav charge that big unit of infantry. He's not in the mood for it. He flees. They go off the table. Tusker Cav pursue and end up off the table as well. And that's it for movement. We go into combat, and I actually do really well. I don't take any damage. I'm able to put 3 more wounds through on this thing. It's not dead. It's unbreakable. I win combat. He could care less. But I almost have it dead. I think I need to do 2 or 3 more wounds. That would be awesome. So, with that over, here's bottom of 6 after movement. It's all or nothing. He sends his general into Lord Tremendous. He's going to try to take him out. Other than that, there's no movement, and therefore that's the end of the movement phase. We go straight into combat, and he calls a challenge. I take it with my BSB, because honestly, I didn't know what my opponent had. I figured a 4-up regen was better than nothing, because I knew he didn't have flaming attacks. So we go into combat. He's able to do 2 wounds to my BSB, 2 or 3, almost kills him. Just 2. In return, my BSB is able to slip 3 wounds through on him, killing him dead. Lord Tremendous is able to do nothing to the tank, takes nothing in return. I win this combat, the tank could care less, but Khan was able to finish off his general at the last minute. I know, I mean, it wasn't like he was going to lose if he kept his general out. He was already going to lose, so it was a cool way to go out, but it made me feel good about my characters. Even if this damn Dwarven steam tank survives and gives me nothing. Eh well, I'm just being a whiner now. And there it is. There's the end of the game. He's got a rocket battery and a big beat-up steam tank left on the table. I have a decent amount of ogres left on the table. It was pretty one-sided, but this was one of his first games, and he told me to kick his teeth down his throat, so I did. In our future games, I can promise you he does much, much better. We sat and we talked about his list in this game for a solid hour plus, just going over strategies, ideas, how to make things work, what worked, what didn't work, and everything like that. He's still very enthused about playing this army. He's very excited about it. He's painting up his stuff. He's ordering more models. It's very cool. And it's exciting to have an Infernal Dwarf opponent on the regular. So this was an excellent game. This was a really cool army to face. I know mistakes were made. He knows mistakes were made. But in the end, and I've already played games with him after this, against this army, and he learn so fast it's terrifying. He's gotten really good with this army, so expect to see much closer games in the future. And you know what? We're going to get into the recap right away because this game is over.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
In the end, it was a victory for Lord Tremendous. I got to club a baby seal. What can I tell you? We didn't really bother to do the score. I threw it out, but trust me, I won. I think it's pretty obvious. He had a rocket battery and a beat-up steam tank. That was it. I won this game. No reason for a score. I ended up losing Blackshade, Skaz, the good old boys, Bow Wowser, and Rufus. So I didn't walk away unscathed. It was definitely a bloody battle. I've never faced off 1v1 against Infernal Dwarves before, so that was really, really exciting to play that. You know, it's always exciting your first time to play off against an army you've never seen before. I was really thrilled when my buddy said he was starting up this army and that he wanted to play. That's really cool because, again, it's an army I don't get to play. I've almost never played before, so very, very cool. Like all dwarf armies, though, they are wrapped in titanium, steel, lead, and chain link armor, just to make sure. They have so much armor, and that's one of my biggest weaknesses. I don't really have a way to crack it. I've done a little something to help with that, but not enough. And dwarves with magic is terrifying. And yeah, their shooting is still terrifying as well, so in my opinion, they're better than regular dwarves. Really, really put me up for a run for my money. Yeah, as he gets better with him, you'll see. Poor old Skaz didn't survive the game. Could have used the Dragonfire gem this game. Not that the double ones I rolled would have helped, but it probably would have helped with the other wounds he took that led to his demise. Figures. The Great Khan General is still a major disappointment. I play a handful more games with this just to try them out, just try to make them work, but I think I'm going to end up going to a Wild Heart list after a while, just because I like the Lord Tremendous Freedom. Definitely thinking about trying something else. And this is my opponent's first real game with Infernal Dwarves, so we both learned a ton. Not only about how they worked, but how to play to their strengths rather than their weaknesses. So, like I said, in the future games, he becomes a much stronger opponent with these guys. But this was a great game against a great army, wonderful opponent. Really like playing against this guy. He's really cool. Love this guy, and I'm very much looking forward to our rematch. In fact, I've already played our rematch from this game, and it's awesome. I'm gonna be working on a battle report as soon as I can. So yes, lots of exciting stuff to look forward to when it comes to the Infernal Dwarves. Real quick, I'd like to say thank you to everybody that supports me financially through PayPal, Patreon, and other means. I've got many donators, but these are the ones that allow me to thank them properly, because a lot of people want to stay anonymous, and I have to respect that because they give me money. These are the individuals I get to thank properly, and I will take this moment to do so. Alex of the Vale Renegades, South Florida's Gamermancy team, Daniel Jolson, and Caillou Choi. Thank you guys very, very much. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. I really do. And I hope I continue to be worthy of your patronage. Thanks again. But that's going to do it for this one. Battle Report number 76 is officially in the history books. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, feel free to put them in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as quick as I can. But yeah, guys, thanks.